On the 4th of June, 1942, over the deep blue waters of the Pacific, something happened that no one believed was possible. In just 6 minutes, 4 of Japan's most powerful aircraft carriers were turned into towering pillars of fire. It wasn't luck. It was intelligence, timing, courage, and a series of fatal mistakes. Today, we uncover the moment that changed the entire course of World War II, the Battle of Midway. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, Imperial Japan dominated the Pacific. But the Japanese leadership understood one thing clearly. The United States, with its vast industrial power, would eventually strike back. To stop that from happening, Admiral Yamamoto crafted a bold plan to seize a tiny but strategic island called Midway. If Midway fell, the U.S. Navy would be forced out of the Pacific, and Japan believed the war would be won. What they didn't know was that the Americans were already listening to every move they made. Early in 1942, U.S. Navy cryptanalysts cracked Japan's supposedly unbreakable code, JN-25. A mysterious target, labeled AF, kept appearing in Japanese messages. The Americans thought it might be Midway, but they needed proof. So they sent a fake radio message saying Midway was running out of fresh water. Hours later, Japan transmitted, "F is short on water." That was the confirmation. Thanks to intelligence, the U.S. knew the exact date, the direction, and the size of Japan's attack, before the first shot was even fired. At dawn on June 4th, Japanese aircraft struck Midway, damaging the base but failing to shut it down. Their commanders planned a second wave, until a scout plane reported something unexpected. The U.S. fleet was approaching. Suddenly, the Japanese carriers were caught in the worst possible situation. Their decks were crowded with aircraft. Their hangars were full of fuel hoses. Bombs and torpedoes were being swapped in a hurry. One spark, one explosion would be catastrophic, and that spark was already on the way. At 10:22 a.m., American SBD Dauntless dive bombers appeared high above the Japanese fleet. No fighters were there to defend the carriers. They had been drawn away minutes earlier by a doomed torpedo attack. The sky opened, and the Dauntless pilots dove. In 6 unbelievable minutes, Kaga erupted in flames. Akagi, the pride of the Japanese Navy, was hit directly in its fuel lines. Soryu burned so fiercely that men had only seconds to escape. By nightfall, 3 carriers were gone, and the next day, the last one, Hiryu, followed them to the bottom of the sea. In 48 hours, Japan lost the core of its naval air power, and they would never recover. Most people remember Midway as an American miracle, but declassified records reveal 3 truths that are rarely told. First, U.S. pilots suffered devastating losses before the Dauntless arrived. Many torpedo squadrons were wiped out almost entirely. Second, the Dauntless wasn't a high-tech aircraft. It was slow, outdated, but devastating at the right moment. And third, had Japan won at Midway, the Pacific War might have lasted years longer, with far more casualties on both sides. Midway was not just a battle, it was the turning point of the entire war. The Battle of Midway proved that strategy, intelligence, and human courage can reshape history. 4 Japanese carriers were lost, and with them, Japan's hopes for controlling the Pacific. In just 6 minutes, everything changed, and the world would never be the same again. This is the story of Midway,